Hello my friends, what's going on? Today I want to show you my garden after winter, and right now it's February. It's still cold, but it seems as if winter is over. So there has been not really much going on in my garden here, so you can see that almost all of the raised beds are empty. I have a couple of strawberries now in containers, which is great because I wanted to raise them off the ground. Because before that I had the strawberries growing right on the ground here, but the problem was that the snails and slugs were eating the strawberries off, and then I had a lot of damage. So what I did was I was raising the strawberries above ground, and now there should not be so much snail damage anymore. Here at the side you can see a little bit of a herbal garden going on, which is pretty much dead because of winter time. But here you can see that the chive is growing again, and this is really a sign that spring is coming. Here in this raised bed I have sown some onions. Well, actually I planted onion bulbs, so it's not sown, it's planted. And this here is garlic, and these plants have overwintered greatly. So that's pretty awesome. Then next, inside of my greenhouse, there's not much going on. Some of the salad plants or lettuce plants have survived. Let's see how they taste. Actually, they taste bitter, so I have to get rid of these plants. Then here was some kale, which is now pretty much dead. And these two beds are empty because here I want to plant some tomatoes this year. Here I also do have some onions growing, and this is where I had tomatoes last year. And here I have a couple of overwintered leek plants growing strong, so that's nice. Yeah, and actually I think now it's warm enough that we can plant some seeds, the first seeds of the year. So let's check out my seed collection. This is actually just a tiny fraction of my collection that I have. All of the other seeds I have frozen in a fridge, in a freezer. Yeah, I think we're going to sow some radishes and some lettuce today. Okay, now for the soil, I'm taking soil which is already used from last year. So this is not as fertile anymore. And you want to use soil like this because otherwise if you have too much nutrition it will actually kill the seeds and the seedlings. So make sure that you have some soil which is not too rich in nutrients. Okay, first I want to sow some radishes. This one is the first one. It's called Easter Greeting and it looks really nice. And the second one I want to sow is this one, which is actually looking like that but with a white tip. And yeah, these are great for, especially for very early sowing, and that's what I want to do today. So it says that you should sow the seeds 2 centimeters deep into the soil. So normally you could directly sow the seeds into the soil, but actually I have so many snails here in the greenhouse, I won't have a lot of chance to prevent my seedlings from getting eaten by the snails and slugs. And this is why I first sow them into the smaller trays here. But then you have to make sure when the seedling is out that you quickly transplant them. Okay, I have my radishes ready, and now I have to water them so that the seeds can germinate. For germination you need water, warmth, and in some cases light. This is a new lettuce that I want to try out. It looks delicious. Let's see. It says you can sow it from January to end of March. Okay, these seeds are looking white. And with lettuce it's a little bit different because they need light to germinate. So you don't want to bury them as deep as the radish seeds. You just want to cover them lightly with some soil after you have sown them. So I just take out some soil here from the last container, make it flat, and then I sow the seeds into this container. And now I take this soil, which I have put to the side at first, and I just slightly put it onto the seeds. Not too much, because they need a little bit of light to germinate. Then what I have is this mixture of lettuce, and it's really good. I'm just not sure which is the better one, the black seed or the white one. It's both a lettuce, but one is better, and I want to put the black seeds into one tray and the white ones into the other to see which ones I want to keep and maybe which ones I want to get some seeds from. Okay, here you can see the white seeds and the black ones. I'm just going to sow one kind into one tray and the other kind into the other tray. Okay, this is it for the seeds. I will now take this pack back into my home because you want to store it dry and at room temperature. You can also freeze seeds, and that's what I did with some of my seeds, and I've actually made a video about it, what's important to consider if you want to freeze seeds. So yeah, now I will fill up the trays with water, but just a tiny little bit, because I don't want my plants to soak and float in water. Okay, now let's check the temperature. So right now we have about 10 degrees Celsius or 12 degrees, which is really warm. So I'm pretty sure there will be another cold period coming, and then we will see if the seedlings come out or not. Amy, what are you doing? Yeah? Pee-pee. Okay, now I have to work on these raised beds. Yeah, Amy. Yo. Baby, what are you doing? Hey, out. Look at this. While I was inside of the greenhouse, Amy dug out the raised bed here, and now I have a mess again to clean up. Great, Amy. Great. You feel guilty, huh? You feel guilty? Not really. Okay. Unfortunately, I have to remove these lettuce plants because they have become bitter, which happens over winter if they are too old and not growing anymore. And yeah, I've just made the mistake that I've sown them too late in the year, and that's why they have stayed that small. Yeah, here on the back side I have my compost area, which is in between the raspberries that are growing here. And I've already cut back the raspberries to about, yeah, this height. And actually I don't want to cut them all the way down anymore, because then you have to wait so long until you get raspberries in the spring and summer. So if you leave them a little bit longer, then you will get like raspberries 2 or 3 weeks earlier than if you cut the stems all the way down. But still, you want to cut away some of the stems, because if you leave too much, that's also not so good. So usually you can leave like 4 to 7 stems, and everything which is more you just cut away. Okay, so here I have some copper going on, but as you can see, it's so thin, it sucks. So it's coming off already after only half a year. So I do not recommend this product. I've ordered some thicker copper from China now, and I will try to run this copper around the raised bed. Okay, now the raised beds are ready, but they are really, really dry. So as you can see, this is almost bone dry. So I want to make sure to water the raised beds even though I don't have any plants. And that's because the microbial life in these raised beds, they need water as well. And that's what I want to do now. Now this year, gladly, I don't have to protect this raised bed because snails and slugs, they don't love garlic and onions. So I can leave it as it is unprotected. It's okay, baby, it's okay. It's Alright, so this is my main garden, but I also have a couple of raised beds in front of my house. So this here is a raised bed that I have in my front yard, basically. It's attached to the house and it's really big, and the great thing is it's facing south, and also it's blocking out all of the wind because the wind is coming from this direction. So this is really my warmest raised bed, and this is where I had a couple of tomato plants in here last year, and it was producing great tomatoes. So I might also put some plastic over this, and then it would be a little bit of a greenhouse. And yeah, this is my best raised bed that I have. Then I also have these raised beds, and I had to make a fence around them because otherwise Amy would constantly jump in. But these raised beds are more prone to wind, and they are not as well producing with the tomatoes, but with plants that grow lower, it's okay. Good day to you all. Today I went to the hardware store and I got a little bit of soil, and I want to fill up my raised beds because I don't have enough of soil in the beds. And also I want to do the same thing in here, and I want to plant some lettuce plants. And usually I buy lettuce in the very spring because the professional greenhouses are heated, and therefore they are able to produce young seedlings much earlier than me, for example. So as you can see, I've sown a couple of lettuce and radish plants, and they still haven't germinated. And that's why sometimes I buy some lettuce plants in spring. And also here I have horse dung pellets, and I want to fertilize these two raised beds here because this is where I'm going to have the tomatoes this year. Hello Amy, how are you? Okay, so now I want to open up the packages of soil, fill up the raised beds, and it's really incredible how much soil you lose every year. And yeah, you would need a huge composting area to produce this much of soil, and the only composting area I have is this one here, but this is not enough to fill up all of my raised beds every year. Amy, why are you eating the soil? What's wrong with you? You're not normal. You are not normal. Okay, for some reason Amy likes to eat the soil. And wait until I open up this bag here. This is horse dung pellets, and she absolutely loves it. And I don't really know why, but this is her favorite soil. Okay, now I want to plant my lettuce plants. Okay, so when I'm planting lettuce plants, I always make sure that I form a small crater around the plant, and this way the water will stay near to the plant, and if you're irrigating this place, the water will collect directly here, and this way you have a more efficient irrigation. Okay, so now I want to plant the rest of my lettuce plants in this big raised bed which is facing south. I'm done with the lettuce plants. Let's see if they will survive the temperature differences in spring. And in the worst case, I can always make a small hoop house, greenhouse over the plants to make sure that they are surviving. Alright folks, so this is it for the day. I really want to thank you for watching. I can't wait until the gardening season starts outside. So if you want to see me planting and sowing plants, vegetables and fruits, then make sure that you're subscribing to this channel. Stay tuned.